Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to our podcast. This is a very special podcast. Two individuals who I know and been getting to know better, and we are having a conversation that really was just presented to me a few days ago, and I thought it would be a good message to be able to share over my podcast of the Catholic Patriot, because one of the things that we are always open to is what St. Paul talked about. He says, do not despise prophecy and test everything. Hold on to what is good and despise or throw away that which is evil. And when we're talking about modern prophecy, we're often going into the world of private revelation. And that's going to be the subject of our conversation. Two instances, one regarding an individual, one regarding a place where there are reported apparitions and messages for over 40 years now. And another individual whom I have been familiar with for a number of years, that I've done even my own investigation, you could say, into his history, his relationship with his bishop, and really getting to the true things. As a Mariologist, I like to get to the truth of the things on my own, not just taking everything as a hearsay. So when we are talking about things in our conversation, just know that unless they are formally approved by the church, something like Fatima, there are always things that are alleged and ultimately, therefore, up to our discernment. So we always take the mind of the church. We are open and we are also cautious and discern with prayer what we hear. And then, of course, we put it up to the test where necessary, where it comes to things of the faith, make sure that it always matches up. So, but I believe the messages of what we discuss are important and that they are urgent. So I submit them now to your discernment, and I hope you enjoy our conversation.
The whole world is sick.
Are you worried about America? I am.
Believe the impossible and you can do the incredible.
Welcome, everyone, to a very special episode of the Catholic Patriot. This is really an ad hoc episode that the Holy Spirit, I think, has put together, and Our Lady. I have with me two very special guests. I have Xavier Reyes-Ayral. Is that close enough?
Except you say it better than I do.
And I have Monique Turnbull. And you may know her from so many things that she does in commentaries on Marian apparitions and signs of our times. And it's a joy to have them both together because they very often they're sharing a very common mission, even to this day. And what I want to invite them to share about is maybe you know, maybe you don't know, but there has been a lot of heavenly activity, you could say, message-wise too, when it comes to what is going on in Medjugorje, and also with a modern-day mystic, Father Michel Rodrigue. You may have heard of him, you may have not, and I'd like to invite both Xavier and Monique to comment on what has been happening, especially, let's start, I'm not sure which one was chronologically first, but I believe it was on the 17th, 18th of June was a message that was given to Maria in Medjugorje, and it was a very urgent one. So I'm not sure who wants to begin the sharing about that, but lead us into what these urgent messages of this past week have been.
Would you like to begin, Monique?
No, go ahead.
Ladies.
Go ahead.
Well, yes, it was on Saturday, June the 15th, that remarkably enough, the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared to various visionaries around the world at the same time, beginning with Maria in Medjugorje, with Senora Cardia, I think it's the proper pronunciation,
Gisela,
Monique,
Gisela Cardia.
Gisela Cardia, and of
Yeah.
course with Reverend Father Michel Rodrigue in Quebec. Mrs. Cardia is in Italy, Maria in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Father Michel Rodrigue in Quebec. So we have been invited, my wife, myself, the children, of course, Monique, her charming husband, Michael, and their beautiful children, by some friends of ours in Montana, no? To see the areas, we had a reason to go there. We're not going to go into it right now. But we were there and to inspect the region for some particular places. That being said, it was on Sunday, the 16th. It was exactly at 6:30 in the morning. That's Montana time, so about 8:30 in the morning, your Eastern Standard Time. That I got very strange, not strange, but unexpected phone call from Reverend Father Michel Rodrigue. Father Rodrigue, since I've known him, he's able to have laughter come easily to him when he speaks, to bring forth usually a message of great gravity to lessen the tension. But with me, when we speak of serious matters in private, he's extremely serious, very phlegmatic, very French, in the sense that according to our culture, we don't try to show too much emotion. It's considered bad form. In this instance, when he called me, he was emotionally distraught. I was taken completely by surprise. I was not expecting his call, and let alone in this manner. He told me, Xavier, I apologize to disturb you this time. I know you are 2 hours behind me, but I've received yesterday a message of very, very grave importance, and I called you. I couldn't call you yesterday, it was too late, and I wanted to call you to tell you exactly what it was. I said, Father, of course. Why? What happened? Why are you in this situation, in this state? He was swallowing his tears. He was trying to remain as much in control as he could, but he was failing. At that moment, he told me, look, Xavier, the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared to me last night. And she told me that she was sent, and she was, first of all, herself filled with tears. Her eyes were red. It was like if she was somewhat devastated by something, to the point that when I looked at her, I was terribly intimidated. I don't think, although I've seen her before in a state of sadness, I never saw her ever so consumed with such profound sorrow. And I was intimidated. I asked her, Mother, what on earth could have possibly make you feel or appear in this way? What happened? And the Blessed Virgin Mary told him, God the Father has sent me to some of his messengers to bring forth a desperate call of emergency to the faithful. I am asking you, as I did Maria in Medjugorje and others, to propagate my request to start a novena, even if it begins late, but to start a novena of rosaries, every single day until June the 24th, preferably the same local time as Maria is doing it in Medjugorje. The time of Bosnia and Herzegovina is the same time as that of Paris, 6 hours ahead of New York City, of Eastern Standard Time. We are to start praying, if we can, at 10 o'clock in the evening, and at 11:30 local time in Medjugorje, I am to bring a new message every day to Maria. So the Virgin added, it is your mission to propagate this request on my behalf, and to do it as soon as possible. So still, Father, it was very difficult to understand him because he was struggling with his emotions himself. And I asked him, but Father, why? I understand it's grave. We've seen this before. Why are you in such a harsh situation, state of mind? He told me it's not all, Xavier. The Virgin Mary told me something that she told me she didn't say to the others. This rosary, this chain of rosaries, this novena, although it will be successful, will not stop. And by the way, it must be dedicated for peace in the world, which is becoming dimmer and dimmer in the world today. And nevertheless, despite it all, this novena will only detain the intensity of the events which are to follow, which are an upcoming Third World War, which, according to the Blessed Virgin Mary, will be instigated mostly by France. Which eventually will come to make an official declaration of war. An official declaration of war. At that moment, Father Michel continued to say, Xavier, it's very shocking because I've been seeing the Blessed Virgin Mary, God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit since I was not higher than 3 stacked apples, since I was 3 years old. And immediately after, I saw the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is always full of joy, hope, happiness, positiveness. In that instance, it's the first time in my existence that I've seen the Holy Spirit dim, sad, because of his knowledge of the Blessed Virgin Mary's profound sorrow. I've never seen this before. And then I was shown a series of visions which completely destroyed my morale. I've seen cities destroyed. I've seen battlefields. I've seen horror. Afterwards, I told him I would promise him that I would discuss this matter with Monique, for Monique to help me propagate this, and she did a splendid job with me. Under very difficult circumstances. We were, as I said, in Montana. We didn't bring any form of technology, save our phones, no. So we had to improvise as well as we could. And Father Michel at the end told me that I am to call him again on the last day, on June the 24th, since his last intervention, which was last year, through a show that took place after that of Monique Turnbull, who was the second person after John Henry Weston to interview Father Michel to give him a voice when he was attacked. No, after Monique Turnbull, Mrs. Christine Bacon did the same thing. We became, all three of us, very good friends. After this, we received a tsunami of invitations from all podcasts across the world, French, American, English, Hispanics, and so on and so forth. But it appears that God the Father told him not to do so before it would be time for him to warn the faithful to prepare. Now, after this call on June the 16th, I told him, Father, are you up for possibly organizing a new conference call with all the captains of all the principal Catholic podcasts in the States, in France, and in the countries from Mexico to Chile, to Argentina? He told me, I think it's time. But let's speak again on June the 24th. We have an appointment then at a particular time. And I will tell you, after I see the Virgin Mary, she promised she would appear again and bring a message of instructions to us what to do. I don't think I've forgotten anything. Monique, please interrupt me if I have.
It's and
Xavier?
Peter, by the way,
Go ahead.
You're going to be part of this podcast, by the way.
Well, I would look
Yes.
forward to that. I mean, this is obviously many of us have given decades of our life to try to be watchmen. It's a term that conversations I've had with like Mark Mallett or Daniel O'Connor, and in the end, everybody has certain missions within that, you can say, but the overall one it's an unpopular one. I'll tell you that. Just having this on, many people, they kind of shirk sometimes because they hear this about somebody, they hear that, or they just think that everything's doom and gloom. And but we're talking about World War III. It's not like it may happen. Like we already know it is happening. It hasn't reached a formal declaration, like Xavier said, but we're so close. And I mean, I'm watching these things carefully. France is number one in the news, talking of provoking